Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to talk about why I write crime and thriller stories and not just any other genre. Um, and yeah, first I'm just going to start with how much I've written in the past few days. It's not really been much because, the first the reason is the fact that I had, it's so warm here. I cannot even explain. It's just so warm here and I don't have any kind of, I don't think anybody right now has energy to write because it's like 2 days ago, they were like 37 degrees or something. And usually it doesn't really happen here in Germany. And I was not really used to it. So it just really made us kind of lose our energies and not really be used to this whole situation. That also made me kind of feel unproductive and not really write much because I just feel like you have to be in a certain mood to write. And I know it's some kind of like an excuse that I'm giving you guys or that I'm giving myself, but sometimes I think it's enough to kind of just observe, and sometimes it's really enough to do something else than write. Writing really needs like concentration and more energy than people usually assume, and it does take a lot of your brain points. So I do really want to give it like in a useful way. And when I don't really have any energy throughout the day because of the heat, it doesn't really bring me anything. So yeah, now I'm just gonna you know so that was about the heat and how why I'm not really writing much. And even though my last video I was like, yeah, I'm very excited to write and all that. Since then I've written, but not really as much and not the way I had imagined it to be. So I would say that my expectations are a bit lower than it was since the last video. And I do think that life can hit you with some pretty unrealistic things. And yeah, I did not really imagine that I would not really write because I did thought that it might be easier to write after I finish like exams and all this stuff. But it's just so hard to concentrate. And I've been observing, I think I've been observing human nature because it's really like is it connected with my book. And I think if any topic is connected to your book, you would usually go and observe things or just like research. And for me, in this like book, I think I did not really have a research phase. I think I had a observing phase. I don't really know if it's like a thing, but observations have helped me a lot with this book. Um, and it's just not really creepy ones. It just, you study a lot about human nature and human emotions or behaviors. And that could also be done with just observing people or the situation and how people react to certain things. And yeah, all of this stuff. So, that has made it easy for me to kind of connect all of these thoughts to my characters and kind of make it very helpful for me to go through it and see what I need. So yeah. And yeah, so the main question is like why, I write crime and thriller only, or in this time of my life, I'm just concentrating on writing crime and thriller. I don't really know which genres I will, um, get to know or write about, in the upcoming years of my life. But right now, or even back in the day, I used to be very fascinated with crime and thriller. And the thing is, it was also, I think the main, or I would say that one of the causes is that I have watched so many movies that are, mysterious and thriller and crime fiction. And yeah, I just like the tension that it creates in me. I think the mystery of not really knowing what is going to happen, or the fact that you want to surprise somebody. Just like imagine it as that. And that they don't really know what you're thinking and you're like going to surprise them with a climax. That is just how I think about it. And it doesn't really, I don't really think much of it. I just am more attracted to those kind of stories. And I myself really like to read thriller and mysterious books, like, crime fictions, and also watch a lot of those movies. And the fact that I love it, like, watching it or reading it, and makes me want to write it as well. And I am open to thoughts. I'm like open to new thoughts, whether it's a fantasy or other stuff. But um, I just never really adhered to the fact that I have to write a fantasy because I think I like keeping things realistic, and I know that you have a freedom with writing fantasy because you can pretty much create your own world. But I also think that you can create your own world with just the crime fictions and thriller because you have it's like basically your story. You can do whatever you want with it. But I just like to stick to the world that we're in and not really explore it much. So yeah, I think my comfort zone is that only. But yeah, so I haven't really thought too much about it, but I would like to do it in the future. And so what crime has taught me? I would say that it has made me understand both sides a bit more. Why someone takes the action that they're taking and why the other one acts the way they do. That has kind of made me understand why some people act or, just characters, do certain things. And every little detail matters to me because it leads to something. And I think it has also made me a bit more observant of the situation that I am right now or the people that I'm with. It kind of makes you think like, yo, you're the detective of the situation. And I don't really have any kind of explanation for it. I would say just the fact that I want things under control. And as a as a writer, I do have things under control. And yeah, I also think that crime writers are observers because they basically observe people speaking or lying or, you know, people reacting to certain situations, for example, being nervous. And I like that because it just gives me a sense of knowing or a sense of logical explanation why something is happening. And although I don't really have to explain it in the book, I think that is up to the readers what they want to think about it. But for me, it's really cool to just seeing people or, characters doing stuff that I cannot really do in real life. And I think I can relate to every kind of characters, like whether it's a protagonist or if it's an antagonist, or the hero, the villain, the anti-hero, the anti-villain, and it kind of makes me see the thing as a third point of view, and it's just so interesting to me to have this opportunity to create these characters and this world. And crimes that have never really happened in real life or have happened but in different ways. But this is just my world with my characters doing, committing crimes or the other one searching for evidence. It's just I can do whatever I want with it and just love the feeling of it. And I think whether you're like a crime novelist or like whether you're like a thriller or mystery author or fantasy author, you can relate to that because I think we authors can like explore any kind of subject and do create our own works, our own kind of world with it. And it's just so interesting to me. And I really do like, the thing that I can use music with. So yeah, so just like observing people, for example, someone being, that's like the most basic thing, but there are people who are like nervous when they do eye contact, something like that. Or when they lie, they kind of look down. They're not really looking into your eyes. You can see or take those little habits and make them into a character. And that's just so cool because you can literally take those small habits and make them into character later. And your character can be relatable or hateable or likable, love, I don't know. You can get a mix and it's just up to you. So, and I think just by like talking about these stuff openly, I'm already more excited to write again. And, and maybe that's why I wasn't really writing the past few days. Um, And I think that is one of the reasons why I wasn't really writing the past few days. I was just observing because sometimes observing sometimes observing the situation or just around you can be more helpful than writing a book. Not really writing a book, but just like writing for like 600 words a day, because you're pretty much having like experiences or real life situations and observing them and making them, turning them into ideas, and it just can help you so much long term. And sometimes I do think that you have to take breaks in order to observe. It's just such an important thing for us writers to, have time to kind of reflect and have time to observe. And thinking is also so important. I think reflecting and thinking are kind of the same about, you just think about an ideas, reflect on it. Does it like match my book ideas and all of this stuff? So yeah, yeah. I mean, I think most of the writers also don't really stop writing for a while. They just like most of the time they're just collecting ideas. And it's so important to collect ideas than just start writing, because after a while you will get burned out and you will get very much like you will have a writer's block, and that's not really cool. So it's very much okay to give yourself some time off and you know think about your book instead of just like going on and writing and not really anything being useful. So yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope it helped you think a little bit or get that guilt out of yourself, um, or get that guilt off and not really be sad about the fact that you have not written if you have. And yeah, I hope I see you in the next one.